Good afternoon, class. I'll be discussing the same chapter which I've started yesterday. Chapter 6 Movement for Women's Rights. Page number is 93. Please check the page number in your book. Today's topic is Anti-Dowry Movement and Struggle Against Domestic Violence. Today I'm going to explain about the anti-dowry movement and the struggle against the domestic violence. Another important issue was the payment of dowry in the marriage. Technically, dowry is what is given in the son-in-law or to its parents on demand, either in cash or kind. So, another important issue, even this dowry system, this issue still exists. It still exists today also. So, another important issue was the payment of dowry in the marriage. In the marriage, as from the bride side, this dowry was paid to the son-in-law or to his parents on demand. This from the groom side, they demand whether in cash or kind, and from the bride's family they had to pay this to the groom's family. So the dowry is an all-Indian phenomenon. One of the important groups dealing with the dowry is Progressive Organization of Women of Hyderabad. So this dowry it is not only found in one state or two state, but it is a all India phenomenon. So this dowry system still going on in all India. So one of the most important group which is dealing this dowry is progressive organization of women of Hyderabad, as these groups were dealing with the dowry system. This organization organized protests against dowry in the late 1970s. Delhi became the focus of the movement against dowry and the violence inflicted on women in their marital homes. So this organization organized this Progressive Organization of Women Hyderabad. They organized protests against dowry in the late 1970s, and Delhi became the focus of movement against the dowry and violence inflicted on women in their marital home. Because of this dowry, the women life were not good in their marital home. So Stree Shanghas and Mahila Dakshita Samiti also took up the campaign against dowry. So another two organizations, Stree Shanghas and Mahila Dakshita Samiti, they also took the campaign against the dowry system. It was the Stree Shanghas who campaign made dowry murder of household term in India. Later, a joint call, the Dahej Virodi Chetna Mandav. So it was the Stree Shanghas who this campaign made dowry. They said that dowry was a murder of household term in India. So later they joined a joint forum called the Dahej Virodi Chetna Mandav organization for creating conscience against dowry. So another organization was from under the umbrella a large number of other organization work. So it was from under one large umbrella of other organization work. But at the same time, the organization of the oppressed husband demand to amend the 498A CRPC because the clauses empowered the authority to arrest the husband and in-laws without a warrant. It's suspected of violence against a bride in the family. So, but at the same time, the organization is oppressed husbands demand to amend this under Article 498 CRPC because the clauses empowered the authority to arrest the husband and in-laws without a warrant. So it's suspected of violence against a bride in the family. Even though large scale of misuse misuse of the law is cited. In 1990, there is an increase of dowry death. In 1999, the International Society Against Dowry and Bride Burning in India estimated that 25,000 brides had been killed or maimed each year as a result of dowry disputes. So even this, though there is a large scale misuse of this law is cited, and even in 1919 there is a increase of dowry death, and in 1999 the International Society Against Dowry and Bride Burning in India, it's estimated to 25,000, as 25,000 brides were killed in the result of dowry in every year. So in 2000, a United Nations report estimated that average 5 Indian women a day were killed in accidental kitchen fire by husband whose demand for dowry payment had not been met. So in 2000, the United report estimated that an average of 5 Indian women whom were killed in a day in an accidental fire, kitchen fire by husband whose demand for dowry were not met by the bride's family. The primary problem with dowry death is a social compact between the families and the police. The police always try to pass off kitchen deaths as accident or suicide. So the primary problem with dowry death is it become a social compact between the families and the police does. So the police always try the police always try to pass that kitchen deaths as as they consider these kitchen deaths are accidental or suicide. The aim of the anti-dowry campaign is the name this as crime as a proceeded or forced the police to register the cases. The anti-dowry campaign attempted to bring social pressure of the offender so that they could isolate the community in which they live. So the aim of the dowry campaign is the name this as crime, so to pursue the force of police to register the cases register the case that as this anti-dowry campaign attempted to bring social pressure on the offenders so they could isolate the community in which they live. The campaign revealed that the need of the counseling, legal and aid to advise women. Thus, legal aid and counseling centers had been set up in different parts of the country. Women organizations also succeeded in getting the dowry law changed. The penal code has been given the police the power to arrest perpetrators for domestic violence. So this the campaign revealed the need for the counseling, legal aid for to advise the woman. So thus legal aid and counseling center had been made for the women in different parts of the countries. Even women organization also succeeded in getting a dowry. They also get dowry law changed. So even the penal code has been given, as the penal code has given the power to police to arrest the perpetrators is criminal male members for domestic violence for the woman. The problem of dowry and associated domestic violence cannot be solved only by educating the people. It is necessary to examine the present law against dowry and do away with the loopholes which made it totally effective. So the problem of the dowry and associated domestic violence, this cannot only be solved by educating the people. So it is not that only the illiterate people with ask for dowry or but it is same with the educated and the same illiterate person, both they commit this crime. So it is necessary to examine the present law against dowry and do away with the loopholes means gap. There is a gap, so they had to see the gap which is made totally ineffective. It is essential that acceptance of money, property or goods in consideration of marriage be made cognizable offense. So it is essential to accept the acceptance of money, property and goods is it has to consider, and it to be in consideration of marriage, and it to be made appreciable offense. This will have to be tackled at the level of mass education and social pressure. The Dowry Prohibit Act of 1961 has failed to achieve the purpose because the act was not made dowry a cognizable offense. So the Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961, the Dowry Prohibition Act of 1961 has failed to achieve the purpose because the act was not the act of this dowry was not a appreciable offense. The Mahila Dashtika Samiti organized a demonstration in Delhi to take up the issue of dowry harassment and domestic violence. It has been observed that women's death by fire was usually put down by police as suicide, and even these suicide were rarely seen as due to dowry harassment. So the Mahila Dastika Samiti organized a demonstration in Delhi to take up issue of dowry harassment and domestic violence, and it has been observed that woman dead by fire was used as this the woman dead by fire, it was usually put down by police as suicide and even accidental cases. So these were rarely seen as a due to dowry harassment. In most of the cases, the police pass off as private as affair. So in most of the police cases, the police said it's a private affair. So as this occurred within the family, the state was not concerned. From 1917 onward, the women movement started against violence and sexual harassment on women by police, either on the street or in the custody. So from 1917 onwards 70 onwards, the women movement started movements against the violence and sexual harassment, which was met by police on the streets and on the custody with the movement. So the use of kerosene, ordinarily in a kitchen fuel, to burn women to death, throwing toxic acid to express disapproval of love, conduct, or as a vent for frustrated love occur in the variety of classes, caste, and regional context. So even the use of this kerosene, ordinarily in kitchen fuel, to burn the woman to death, or throwing acid to express their disapproval of love of women conduct, or as a vent for frustrated love, this occur in as this all these main things occur in the variety of class, caste, and regional context. In recent years, trapping women naked and parading them in public street has been newly added. So in the recent years, trapping a woman naked and parading them in the village or the public street, it has been newly added as a woman violence. But nowadays, the violence is extended not only the physical injury by men or women, but also individual and collective violence, psychological violence, homophobia, child abuse, committed in the name of community and caste also. So not only this dowry violence or killing the woman, but nowadays the violence is extended not only a physical injury by man on woman, but any individual can have this collective violence, like psychological violence, homophobia, child abuse, violence committed in the name of community. Many violence are taking place in India, and also in the committee violence. As a result of this movement, the Prevention of Domestic Violence Against Women Act was passed in 2005 and came into effect in October 2006. So as a result of this movement, the government has passed the Prevention of Domestic Violence Against Women Act was passed. It was passed in 2005 and came in effect in October 2006. So it is too early to judge the impact. Preliminary follow up and fact finding suggest that that these two may fail to usual for the bureaucratic apparatus. So as it has to be preliminary judge and to follow up the and we have to find the find the fact findings and suggest that it is too may also fail to usual for the bureaucratic party, as the bureaucratic party means turning away, as this government and the bureaucratic party, most of the time they're turning away without seeing the they 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 did not this this government, they do not see the problem nicely and they're turning away. This is the concluding part of this chapter. So thank you for that's all for today. Thank you.